After speaking for about a year, I was going along to a public speaking club. And people at this club were asking me for advice on speaking.
Yeah.
And one lady at the club invited me to come and speak at her class. She was a university lecturer.
Yeah.
She invited me to come speak at her class. 300 people
Wow.
in this class, by the way. And I was a wreck before that. About half an hour before, I threw up all my pasta. About 2 minutes before, I was thinking about running away.
Yeah.
About 30 seconds before, I had a mind blank and I didn't know what I was going to say at the start. But I got through it and it actually went really well. And that gave me so much confidence to think that, wow, maybe I could do this as a career.
Yeah.
And that's when, after university, when I graduated, I thought, let's just go for it.
Hello, Carl. How are you doing today?
Very good, Ituna. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, and thank you for making it in. So this is Everyday Echoes, the podcast where we explore faith, purpose, growth, and the inner development behind outward impact. So I'm sure, guys, you get a lot of value from hearing Carl talk about his stories and things he's been up to lately. So first, have you done anything exciting this week?
This week, well, what have I done? I went and played for the first time golf.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was, it was a baptism of fire.
Yeah.
You know, I played with two other guys.
Yeah.
The first guy, you know, when you tee off at the start,
Yeah.
he hits the ball about 200 yards. The second guy hits the ball, goes about 150 yards,
Yeah.
and then I hit the ball, and it goes back 10 yards. So that was interesting, but it's a lot like public speaking, I think, golf.
Yeah.
But any skill, you are pretty terrible at first, but the more you practice, the more you learn the art, the more you get feedback on your swing or your
Yeah.
speaking, the better you become. So I'll stick at it, and I will be hitting on par at some point in life.
Yeah, you might not know you could be playing with Tiger Woods.
Well, yeah. If Tiger wants to go, we can go.
All right. So before we get into everything, just tell us, who is Carl beyond like your titles and beyond the accomplishments you've made?
Certainly. So I've been delivering presentations, public speaking for almost 10 years now.
Wow.
In that time, I've won 5 UK and Ireland public speaking championships. I've won 1 European public speaking championship. I've started a business where I go in and work with companies like Specsavers, Vodafone, Microsoft, training their managers. I've wrote a book, The 5 Pillars of Effective Public Speaking, and I've done a bunch of marathons and ultra marathons and swam 10K and
Wow.
done all things like that as well. So I have tried to make the most of my time on this earth.
Yeah, I think you have actually. Yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to running a 10K in July.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's like so daunting. Probably I'll pull out, but I'm like, oh, I could just go for it. And
You have to, because you never know what day is going to be your last.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to front load your life. Do everything you want to do early on in life. So if you do go for whatever reason, at least you can say in your mind, I'm proud of what I did.
Yeah.
You know? So go for that 10K. There's no quitting. You have to commit. Yeah.
I'll try. And I also realized that only 1% of people on the earth actually end up running a marathon in their lifetime.
Yeah, I think that's the fact, isn't it? Yeah, 1%. So yeah, you can join that club. A lot of people joined it in London recently, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'll join the Billionaires Club of the 1%.
Nice.
All right. So take me back to the beginning. Where did this all start from? Were you always someone comfortable speaking in the public?
No. I used to be incredibly shy. In fact, in school, people used to say, "Does Kyle even speak?"
Wow.
It used to be like that. And I think I shied away even more from public speaking because I had a traumatic experience in school.
Yeah.
I'm a dyslexic, so I struggle with reading, writing, and spelling. I guess that's why they made the word dyslexia so easy to spell, I guess. But one day in class, we were asked to read a book by Shakespeare out loud in front of all of our peers. And this was like my worst nightmare, reading and speaking to everyone. So it came to my turn. I stood up there, books like shaking in my hands, and I read to the entire class to pee or not to pee? Wow. That is the question. So that destroyed my confidence. It really did. And from that moment, I avoided public speaking like the plague.
Wow.
I wanted nothing to do with it. I hid from it. If there was ever a chance or a thing where we needed to speak, I would just pass it on to someone else.
Yeah.
And eventually it got to the point where as I was getting into university, I was finding myself having to do it more and more. And after one terrible presentation, I just thought, enough is enough. I've got to figure out how to overcome this fear. Yeah. And that's what really began my journey into learning about speaking, practicing it more, reaching out to people for feedback. And slowly but surely, as the months and the years went by, I started to lose that debilitating fear and began to enjoy my speaking. And that is where I think everybody can get to, where it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because it can be. When the audience is on your side, when you're having a good time, there's nothing like it on earth. But just so many of us like me hide from it instead of embracing it, which is a great shame.
Yeah, I feel like you make me currently feel like there are like 100 people in this room listening to you right now, which is like so great. It's like a very good feeling.
Maybe there is. It's an old building.
You never know. Thank you so much for sharing that story. That was very good. And I'll just ask my next question. And it's what made you enter your first competition? How was it like your first Ireland UK competition?
A mentor of mine told me that the fastest way to improve is to compete.
Yeah.
And that kind of sold it for me. I thought, well, I'll enter the competition. And what I actually did before I entered is I went on YouTube and I started watching some of the world champions of public speaking.
And just learning from them.
Learning from them, but also becoming a bit inspired by them. And also thinking in the back of my head, I can do that. Yeah. You know, I kind of had that confidence a year into my speaking. I could give that a go. I could give that a shot. I could win that thing. So that's what drove me into it. And that mentor was absolutely right. It has helped me improve massively competing. Even when you lose, especially when you lose, you learn so much about what didn't connect with the audience that day, and then you can make adjustments in your real life, which is of course my career now.
Yeah.
So it's been a massive asset competing. It is traumatic and demoralizing sometimes as well, depending on the results, especially if the result wasn't what it should have been.
Yeah.
But overall, it has been very
At what
beneficial.
point did you decide to make it your career instead of just something you're just going for?
So I was, after speaking for about a year, I was going along to a public speaking club. And people at this club were asking me for advice on speaking.
Yeah.
And one lady at the club invited me to come and speak at her class. She was a university lecturer at Strathclyde University. So she invited me to come speak at her class. 300 people in this class, by the way. And I was a wreck before that. The day off, I had a big bowl of pasta because I thought I need to fuel up. About half an hour before, I threw up all my pasta. About 2 minutes before, I was thinking about running away. About 30 seconds before, I had a mind blank and I didn't know what I was going to say at the start. But I got through it and it actually went really well. And the students had feedback forms that day, sort of rating me from 1 being he's terrible to 10, he was really good. And many of them were putting me like a 7, an 8 or a 9. And that gave me so much confidence to think that, wow, maybe I could do this as a career. And that's when, after university, when I graduated, I thought, let's just go for it. And now that's what I've been doing for 8 years. It will be in July. Confidence by Design, my business has been going.
You've won so many like awards, and in like, what does self-doubt look to you like, aside from just the wins? Because some people feel like once you're there, you don't struggle with doubt.
So once you're on stage? Or?
No, like once you're like getting the awards, getting the accolades, you're on stage, you're performing, you're doing great. Like they always feel like, oh, these guys are just born to be courageous, but they don't understand that sometimes you still have that doubt.
I see what you're saying, Occasionally, I think experience builds confidence. So the more you do it, the less doubts you're going to have, because ultimately you can look back and say, I have a bunch of undeniable proof here that I can do this. But that being said, and this is a bit more with my business, if I go into a training room and I see people with crossed arms, or I see people don't want to be there, I realize, okay, this is going to be a tough day, you know, and there's some doubts, am I going to be able to turn them around? So we all have these moments, and depending on what's going on with your life, if you've been fighting with your partner, if you've just suffered a loss in your family, if things in business aren't going particularly well, you do begin to, those doubts are there, but it's a question of whether you accept them or not. Because ultimately there's kind of two paths. There's the doubts which come in and you don't control them coming, but you can say, no, that's not me, and you can sort of control your own internal dialogue, or you let the doubts take over and then you probably fall apart on stage. So as a speaker, or anyone really, you have to decide that these doubts are not me, and I'm going to push forward and I can do this.
Just speaking from there, like, what would you say is the most common thing that holds people back? Because you've been able to, like, you've traveled across like the UK, teaching people how to speak. What would you say has been the common thing that holds people back anytime you're in the room?
Well, a lot of the time, on a deep level, what holds them back is their self-image, because they don't see themselves as a public speaker. And when you don't see yourself as a speaker, you will always feel like an imposter on the stage. And then you begin to self-sabotage, you have a bad experience, and then that sort of reinforces the idea that I am not a speaker. So that is probably the biggest mistake people make that they're not aware of. Their self-image, how they're viewing themselves. What you need to begin to do is change that self-image by doing the things speakers do. So thinking about presentations more, planning them, practicing them, getting feedback from people on your presentations. If you do all of those things, you set yourself up to have a good presentation when you deliver it. And then that begins to build the belief that I can do this, I am a speaker. And you do that again and again and again, and slowly over time you go from feeling like an imposter to feeling like you belong on the stage. And then that's when speaking really becomes truly enjoyable. So I'd say that's the biggest mistake, and it's also the thing that people can change long term. It doesn't happen overnight, but long term they can change that self-image.
Yeah, it's like listening to you, your words, you know, like the ones to like emphasize on. I'm just like, you've been doing this for ages and you're just so good at it.
Well, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, and that's it, you know, that's it. I mean, it's like any skill. The more you do it, the better you become at it. Have you done much presentations?
Yeah, like I used to speak a lot back in my bachelor's. So I was a student leader. So I was leading about 2,000 students in Nigeria. So my university. And it was a lot of public speaking in the crowd. So
in front of 2,000 people.
Like
all at once. Wow, that's a big audience, man.
It's a very big audience, speaking and not being shy and things like that. So like sometimes I have that self-doubt when I'm climbing the stage, but once I'm with the mic, everything clears on. So it's like I understand where people come from. I see sometimes the self-doubt as a form of humility, not getting used to it, and you're like, oh yeah, it just reminds you of how human you are and how well you could just be terrible to fear. So just going on and just doing it.
Well, that's very true, and often nerves actually help. They give you a little bit more energy, they heighten your senses, you become more aware of the audience, which then you can pick out things, potentially in impromptu moments. They can be a good thing. They can fuel you to a good place, or they can overwhelm you if you let it build too much. So it's a balancing act.
All right. So I just want to ask you a bit about purpose and meaning. At Everyday Echoes, we talk a lot about inner development and as something behind outward impact. Do you think there's a deeper purpose behind why you do what you do beyond the wins and the coaching?
Yeah, I would say so. What really I find joyful about my work is I can literally see people growing into who they should be. You know, because the confidence they gain from realizing that they can stand up in front of a group and deliver a compelling presentation, it trickles them down into other areas of their life. Interviews become easy. Networking events become simple. Parties, going to a party, you feel less anxious about doing that because you know you can do the hardest form of communication, public speaking. So I find that my work, what I'm really trying to do is help people discover and grow in confidence And I think I'm succeeding in that.
But what's the biggest transformation story you've got?
Biggest transformation story. Let me see. I mean, look, there was a lady who was on one of my courses, and she did not want to be there in any way or shape or form. Her boss they forced her to be on there, and she was terrified. Like, I asked her, I do a lot of impromptu moments in my course. I get people to come up without any prep and speak, and she just would not move from her chair. She was literally just shaking in her chair like this. But after going through that day and learning the skills, she came back the next day, and every person on the course, has to do a presentation. And she did this incredible presentation about her own struggle with anxiety.
Yeah.
And now, was it perfect? Did she have the body language, the voice? No, but it was sincere, and it was moving, and it was powerful, and it was a topic which we could all relate to. And after having that experience, she sat down, obviously a weight off her shoulders, but feeling so proud
of herself.
Like,
I just did something great.
This is something I didn't think I could do.
Yeah.
And I've learned since that she's went on to a management position.
Wow.
She now runs a team. She's doing presentations on a weekly basis. She's even spoke at a conference.
Wow.
I don't know if it was in front of 2,000 people, but it was a lot of people. So she is just transformed and changed in so many ways because she decided to take that dangerous, scary step forward and stand on that stage.
Yeah.
And that 5 minutes, it seems like it's put her on a brand new path. So that's cool, very cool.
I remember like my first time on a very big stage was, so my university back in Nigeria had like an opportunity to organize TEDx. TEDx
cool. Of course.
Happens in different universities or
course.
schools and stuff.
Yeah.
So my university got a license there. So they kept me as one of the speakers. And that was like one of the biggest moments of my life.
Amazing.
I think I was 20 that time. And there was like a pre-event in which you try to talk about what you're talking on, which is compulsory. And they were just like, oh, you have to do this way. You have to do this way. You have to do this way. I'm like, oh. So I felt so down. I'm like, how would I like get across the message to the people with this, like a lot of changes happening and stuff like that. But the next day, I got the corrections in to get in, make them. And the next day, while they called my name and I went to the front, I could see everyone's faces. And I felt like this was a golden opportunity and a golden moment. So sometimes like the fear is pushing you towards a success you never knew was just at the door.
100%. What was your talk on?
It was about change impacts in Nigeria. So I run a charity organization also back home. So focused on implementing systematic change in vulnerable communities.
Yeah.
So I was talking about, so the topic of that year was, I think, giving love. So I was showing how, as an organization, we've been able to go across states in Nigeria, making impacts in people's lives, not just because we want us to be seen.
Yeah.
But we don't want to leave people where they are. We also realize that a lot of times people go into orphanage homes, into vulnerable camps. We call them IDP, internally displaced persons, just to also leave the people the way they are. So they give them food, they give them money, those are essentials, but we want to give them something that would not leave them poor. So we want to give them skills, we want to give them rights to education, put them in schools, and that was what we're doing. So like either equipping them with like vocational skills, like tailoring, things like that, or IT skills, or just taking some to schools. And we're still providing those essentials, but we felt like the main thing is that people can leave this community and be great and come back to this community to pick people out of it.
Right.
And also be great.
Build upon their success, kind of thing. What a powerful talk for a 20-year-old to deliver. Yeah, fantastic.
So it was just a lot. And that moment was like, it's something I would never forget.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Often behind the fear is everything we want in many ways. I recently, about a month ago now, I did something I found absolutely terrifying. Skydiving.
Oh man.
Have you ever done that?
No, I went up Ben Nevis in January.
That was high enough?
Yeah. I was like, no.
Well, let me tell you about this. What happens first of all is they take you into a briefing room, right? Yeah. This is where they like put the harness on and they tell you how this is going to work, this jumping out of the plane thing. Yeah. And we went into the briefing room, and in the corner there was a girl, and she had like tears running down her face. She was shaking like this. So I said to my friend, wow, she must be jumping with us.
Yeah.
And then the instructor came over and said, nah, she's already jumped. I'm like, what? That's the aftermath. Anyway, so what they do is they put you on a tiny little plane. It's like the size of a toy, this thing. So you're crammed in there, and then this plane goes up and up and up and up until you almost get a mile in the sky.
Okay.
A mile high. And then the instructor says, let's get some air. And he opens the door.
And he pushes you up. So like, what the hell do you do?
And then they get you to the edge of the plane. You're looking down and you're like, oh my God.
Is this the end?
This is it. This is it. Bye, baby Jesus. And then he jumps, and it's absolutely shocking at first. Your stomach goes into your mouth. Your gums are flapping. You can't even take things in because you're moving so fast. But then the parachute opens.
Oh.
And you sit back. And you see this incredible landscape in front of you. You've never been this high before. Your eyes have never seen these things before.
Oh my God.
It is total bliss.
Man, I want to do it, but now I'm like, before the parachute kicks in.
It's hell before the parachute kicks in. But when the parachute opens, it is beautiful. And it's the same thing. After you've done your presentations, you have that feeling of bliss.
Yeah.
I'm so proud I did that. That was an incredible experience which I'll hold forever. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, what does success mean to you?
What does success mean to me? I think it's two things.
Yeah.
It's number one, being fulfilled and happy with what you're doing. But number two, progressing with that thing.
Okay.
And I generally think those two are combined. That when we progress in something which we're passionate about, it brings us joy. So it's almost like a cycle, joy, like progression leads to joy. Joy leads to progression because it encourages you to keep going. So those two things combined, I really think help you excel. And I was very fortunate when I was 20 to find this thing, public speaking, which is my passion, which has brought me so much joy. And I think that's what we should be striving for. Find that thing which gives you joy, but you can also progress at long term.
Yeah, and also this world in which could be filled with so much darkness, how do you think people can be a light through their speech and what they say? And what you're saying is not just about driving people to either the left or the right, but being able to bring people together in love and peace.
So how to bring people together
how do you think people can use their speech to bring people together?
Oh, right. Okay. Very good question. I think it's a case of creating and telling stories which describe unity instead of division. Because a lot of the rhetoric in politics these days is it's their fault. It's their fault. They're the reason that the country's not where it is. And that is it's not beautiful, it is a brilliant strategy to win an election. Because people love that. They love blaming someone else for their own problems, for their own shortcomings. It's worked throughout history. If we want to bring people together as public speakers, we've first got to highlight from past experiences what they're doing, showcase it so everybody's clear on that, and then we've got to foster and build a case for why coming together in unity is going to help us achieve a better future. Because ultimately it seems the majority of people are unhappy with politics right now. They're unhappy the way things are being run. And it's very difficult. We're about to have our election here in Scotland, and no party is really giving a compelling case as to why they should be the one to take us forward. So it's very difficult for voters because no party is telling a story which gives us hope. And I think that's what we ultimately need to do as public speakers, tell stories that give people hope that unity is the best path forward.
Yeah, that's like very true, because I feel like people nowadays tend to use their platforms to like drive people apart.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a leader, you should be able to bring people together, even if it costs you something. That's like why you're the leader.
Yeah, and the reason that's happening is because it gets views.
Yeah.
It gets people talking. It's just that shock factor. I watched a documentary recently, and it was about these influencers and the things they do for views. There's one guy, he literally will try and set up a date with someone online, okay, like a gay guy online. The gay guy comes, and then instead of going on the date with him, he just beats him up, and he films it. And his viewers like it. And this is where we're kind of at.
Yeah.
People will do anything, whether it shows violence, division, some form of hate, to get the views, and it gets people talking. I'm talking about it right now, so I'm doing the job for it, right? Yeah. It's just the sort of idea of unity, of being together. It's not as clickable, is it?
Yeah. It's the clicks.
It's not as clickable, and that's the key problem. We've got to find a way to make it more clickable. In some way or manner.
Yeah. What books would you recommend to people to read that have probably impacted you also?
Well, for me personally, the best book I've ever read is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I think that book alone inspired me to run 100 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you heard of this book? Have you read it?
No.
Oh, you must.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. It's about a U.S. Navy SEAL called David Goggins, and it's about his life journey and some of the incredible things he's done. He's ran ultra marathons.
Wow.
I think the longest one he's done is 237 miles or something like this. He had the pull-up world record at one point. He's done all of these interesting endurance challenges, but really it's about his story and the abuse he grew up with. Wow. And the limiting beliefs, the doubts he had to face on his journey. It really did change the direction of my life in some ways. So very, very powerful book.
Yeah, I think I just Googled him up, yes. He's an American motivational speaker, athlete, author, and former United States Air Force JSAC. And retired United States Navy SEAL. I think I have to read this book.
I think you have to. Yeah, there's your weekend project.
Yeah. That would be great. Wow. What about podcasting? Like, I know we spoke about this earlier, like things to listen to that could help people also. Just people wanting to channel that inner energy to just be better and fulfill purpose.
So how podcasting can help them?
Yeah, exactly. Like out listening to podcasts, like you give examples of some podcasts, like that you're listening to.
Yeah, I mean, like there's probably quite a few public speaking podcasts out there. I think there's a TED podcast.
Yeah.
Which would be good, I would imagine. I haven't listened to it myself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's just whatever skill you're trying to get better at, immerse yourself in that world. I think YouTube's an incredible place.
Yeah.
Because you can literally search anything,
and
a video will pop up of a guy or a girl explaining how to do whatever the thing is. And I think that's where I began in many ways, learning about public speaking, just YouTube, watching speakers, learning their skills, getting their tips, and then I would start listening to audiobooks on the topic and stuff like that. And then I found a place I could practice, and then I found some mentors at that place, and then they gave me advice, and it all sort of snowballs from there. So I think all of these things, podcasts, YouTube, find places, find people who are where you want to get to. And learn as much as you can from them.
Yeah. Wow, that's been great. It's been fun talking to you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For doing this, and this was really good. And I was I felt blessed listening to this myself, even though I was the host.
I'm blessed to be here. I really am. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you for listening to us. Do subscribe and have a lovely day.